Above the Law, a trauma-informed, appreciative approach to examining mayoral control of New York City public schools. I will now execute Cycle 1, Stage 1 of the Appreciative Informed Resonant Transformation by disclosing my traumatic narrative as it relates to governing school engagement, mobbing, Stage 4, expulsion. In Stage 4 expulsion, targets of mobbing either leave the organization due to dismissal or resignation based on intolerable work conditions. My traumatic experience entails cycles of resignation based expulsion due to hopelessness, as sabotage and retaliation against me seemed more important than student achievement and well being. I earned my doctorate to learn how to solve problems, not watch leaders like the supervisory regime and their band of merry men and women make decisions that create more problems than they solve. Basically, I have a mental intolerance for mobbing within communities whose success remains dependent on positive relationships. I am not aloof. Everyone knows you will likely face retaliation once you blow the whistle on any wrongdoing within New York City public schools. However, I believe that my situation varies from that of the average whistleblower. I didn't make a report about wrongdoing that I witnessed, like a principal using funds for special education students to buy a Ferrari. I'm just making this up, by the way. I did not see this happen. I blew the whistle about being forced to comply with fraud in my name, and fraud that used my social security number. Please watch the Occupational Ambiguity video series if you haven't done so already. The subsequent retaliation that I experienced not only added insult to injury, but triggered trauma that I couldn't put a name on until this experience. You see, the gaslighting and mobbing I experienced at the hands of the supervisory regime wasn't my first rodeo with paranoid leaders. Paranoid leaders whose obsession with image and control and always needing to be right sought to destroy you. Paranoid leaders whose innate desire seeks to preserve their image by breaking your confidence and silencing your voice for no other reason than to keep you isolated and living in fear. Paranoid leaders who, despite your age and accomplishments, always sought to leave you vulnerable and dependent on them for survival. Paranoid leaders, psychological savages, agents of destruction who ensured they gathered a collective of thoughtless, spineless cowards to carry out their mobbing attacks. The familiarity of the experience enabled me to use my own levels of sophistication to predict planned attacks and to collect data to counteract their accusations against my character. Still, my realization of the familiarity of the experience brought forth a myriad of negative emotions that I purposely ignored but was now forced to confront due to the ongoing mental anguish and disequilibrium felt on a daily basis. Anger. The thought of systems strategically planning to destroy you so they can silence your voice makes me angry, because I believe psychological abuse wages war against your identity and purpose. If you're confident with a strong sense of self, psychological savages will earmark your potential with calamity to corrupt your well-being and destroy your livelihood. Psychological savages purposely try to trigger you because they cannot take your anointing. So they seduce you into having a bad temperament by creating situations for you to react negatively so you can lose your influence. Psychological savages are really weak people who use their position of power to attack the strong, inviting you into their misery because it's easier for them to fight you than to deal with their own insecurities. Psychological savages utilize their age old tricks of isolating you and infiltrating your thoughts and personal life so you shrink to the level of expectation they set. Still, when you have spent your entire life learning how to solve problems only to dwell within environments where people purposely make decisions that create more problems than they solve, it will drive you insane. Because I care too much about things working, I feel as if I am losing my mind when people strategically plan for things to fail. If I lose my mind, I lose my consciousness. I will not lose my mind at the hands of psychological savages. So I declare war against everyone who is fighting against me. So, to the supervisor regime and all of the other psychological savages who purposely make decisions to steal life and joy from other people for no other reason than to destroy their livelihood, fuck all of you. Respectfully. Pain. When you invest in something that goes wrong, the pain is excruciating. Knowledge that others orchestrated the wrongs leaves you with an embedded distrust as you are strategically robbed of your dignity. Anxiety. Then there's the Jezebel spirits. To ensure that your anger and pain are condensed into fear, psychological savages disperse their Jezebel spirits. Jezebel's purpose is to force you to accept the system's lifestyle. These Jezebels are faith killers, people who bring you bad news, delivering information at the wrong time to create chaos in your mind. Jezebel makes certain to kill you with what ifs, leaving you struggling to rest today out of fear of what might happen tomorrow. The what ifs leave you in a cycle that disrupts your sense of voice. The end result is locking myself into a position I could have stepped out of if not for my inability to shake the bondage of worry and fear and shame, creating a destination out of misery when it should have just been a pit stop. The pain is indescribable. Up next, we will continue with Cycle 1, Stage 1 of the Appreciative Informed Resonant Transformation, where I conclude the disclosure of my traumatic narrative as it relates to governance goal engagement, mobbing, Stage 4 expulsion. See you there.